Let's start here now. Commuters have been left stranded today. Taxi operators associated with the National Taxi Alliance have parked their vehicles and are marching on government. They're demanding the COVID-19 relief fund payout to be fast-tracked. The alliance says its members were hard hit when they were not allowed to load to full capacity during the hard lockdown. Manqoba Mchunu is following that story and joins us now live. Manqoba, firstly, drivers taking to the streets over issues with government, but it's the commuters that are left stranded and at the receiving end. What's been the situation where you are?
Indeed, Masiko, that's what we've seen this morning. Many of those commuters being left stranded this morning. We visited the Alexandra taxi rank where we saw hundreds of commuters that were left stranded, waiting there, not knowing what else to do because they say they did not know that this strike was going to take place today. Of course, we recall, Masiko, that about 188 taxi associations from across the country are participating in this particular strike, which means that those residents then would have been the one that will be left stranded today due to this particular strike that is taking place today. Also, we did see a lot of disruptions to matriculants who are meant to be writing their business studies paper earlier today. We do know that they were supposed to write a business studies paper 1 at 9 o'clock in the morning and business studies paper 2 at 2 o'clock this morning. So there were reports of some matriculants having difficulties getting to school, and the MEC also intervening here in Gauteng in terms of allowing the learners to arrive an hour late to write their exam. So there has been quite a lot of input, but not only on the taxi ranks, but also on the streets, which we saw being brought to a standstill. We saw the N1 freeway being also affected as some of those taxi drivers stage a go-slow. And the city centre, as you can see here, Masiko, hundreds of taxis are following their leaders. They are driving together with the leaders of this march, the leaders of the NTA, and they've also been blocking streets. And also, the shops here around here have been severely affected, many of them closing for issues of security, just to ensure that the situation is calmer.
All right, Manqoba, so we also saw acts of violence, of course, and intimidation. What is the National Taxi Alliance saying about that?
Well, Masiko, we did pose a question to the General Secretary of the National Taxi Alliance about some of those incidents, of course, following those reports that a bus, for example, from the Tshwane bus department was hijacked this morning, and also some issues around the blockages of the streets in and around Tshwane. And Alfia Simlalazi is saying to us that they condemn the violence in the strongest terms. He says, of course, that as the NTA, they are still going to investigate whether or not it is actually their members that are involved. However, they did say, if at all it is their members that were involved in these acts of violence and intimidation, they're willing to take responsibility for that. We did pose a question as to how exactly are you going to take responsibility, what actions are you going to take, and they say that this is something they will consider when they've received a full report of the extent of the violence and intimidation. But of course they're saying that they're also calling on law enforcement agencies to also intervene and to also make arrests where needed, because they say some elements are now hijacking this protest, which was meant and built as a peaceful protest, to give their concerns to government over the issues that they've raised.
All right, thank you very much. That is our reporter, Manqoba Mchunu, coming to us live from Pretoria.